Hi, and welcome to this quick tool review. This time around we have another product from Vevor. This one was given to me to evaluate, just so you know up front. When they send me products to evaluate, they don't tell me anything to say. They don't tell me any conclusions to make from it. There's no requirements like that. However, I am aware in the back of my head that when someone gives you something for free, that you tend to have a more positive look at it. So hopefully I keep that in the back of my head and I give you as an accurate evaluation as I possibly can. I try very hard to be unbiased, but I know I'm human and subject to the same foibles as everybody else. This product is a Boroscope, and I know I've looked at several other Boroscopes in the past. However, this one is somewhat different. And the main difference between this one and the other ones is that one, this got a much shorter cable. I think this cable is just over 4 feet. Let's see if I've got an exact number, 4.9 feet for the cable, the fiber optic cable. But this one also is different in that the end is agile. All the other ones were stiff and they're designed to go down a long pipe so that you can find a clog or something like that for plumbers, or looking in conduit to find out where you've got a tangle with the rope or something like that, or see if there's water in the bottom of your conduit. This one is designed to work in locations that are much close to you, but actually have the camera be able to move, which is pretty handy. The camera on this guy is 0.24 inches or 6.2 millimeters. The camera is 1080p and it comes with a screen that's 720 by 1280. And the most unique feature about it is that it can bend. The tip supposedly can bend like this, so that you can actually aim the camera to once you're inside whatever it is you're trying to look at. And that makes it unique. So I thought, what the heck, let's take a look at this guy. The price was 129 bucks, but I think they already sold out of this model on the Amazon site. So I don't think it's available at this point in time. Maybe by the time this video review goes up, it'll be back up. There's also another version of this that has a slightly larger end diameter of 0.3 something, like 0.34, and they claim that one is all similar except for slightly larger diameter. So no big deal there. IP67 waterproof, 5 to 6 hours on a 7 amp hour battery. I pre-charged this for us. The screen is beautiful. I left the screen protector on. We're looking at not quite high def for this, which is interesting. Does this have a secure digital? Yes, it does. It has a secure digital, micro secure digital slot in the side. It looks like it comes with a micro secure digital card face down, which is really odd. 32 gig, that's a nice size one. I'm not a big fan of micro secure digital. I prefer secure digital every time. These are kind of hard to manipulate, and if you don't have nails, which I don't because I would break them, that makes it kind of hard to get in and out. So you're always trying to get your nail in there at the right angle, as you saw me struggle there briefly. Speaking of which, the camera I'm shooting this with is a Sony camera. They use micro secure digital, and I really dislike it. The Sony actually lets you put the micro secure digital in at an angle where it won't make contact, but everything seems to be working. You know, it clicks and goes in, but it doesn't work, so you have to try it several times. So yeah, not a big fan of micro secure digital. I know that a lot of times they're hurting for space, but I think this case has got enough air in it that they could have done a full secure digital. No reason to go for the smallest thing unless there's no other option. Looks like quick controls on the front. I'll put this guy together. This control mates up with the base here and plugs in and powers the base. So I pre-charged this guy, but I haven't looked at it yet. This will be my first look right with you. There's a zoom of 1 to 8. I think that's because the camera's higher resolution than the screen, so it's not optical zoom, it's going to be digital zoom, which is not entirely cheating, but it is sort of cheating. If you can't display all the resolution on the screen and then you blow up a section so that all the pixels of that section show up, then you're fine. But this is nearly 1-to-1. This is 720 by 1280 versus 1920 by 1080 of the camera. So you could do like 2-to-1, but not much more than that without manufacturing pixels, and that's when you start to get blur and softness. But in any case, not bad. There's a 6-inch display, which is a nice size display. Why don't we just try it out? Oh, 7 amp hour battery, 5 to 6 hour runtime roughly. This guy comes with a USB-C, so a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, which is pretty handy, but by now I've got a ton of. a decent manual like most of the Vevor stuff, and it's serial numbered with a sticker, so that's kind of interesting, or part numbered, don't know exactly. Model SX4, they have variations on this SX4. This is the 6.2 millimeter. It looks like they even have a smaller camera, 3.9 millimeter, which is, that's insanely small. That's like over under an eighth of an inch. I'd be curious to see what that one looks like. The larger one is 8 millimeter, and that's the one that I saw on Amazon for the same price or a similar price. Pulling this guy out of here, you've got the joystick that controls the tip. So my guess in the way they're doing this is that this joystick goes to 4 small wires, and one wire runs up a guide to a point inside of here. And then you pull on the wire or wires to get it to move that direction. To get it to go straight again though, it doesn't want to auto recenter to straight unless it started that way. So if it started bent like I had it there initially, see, now it doesn't want to return when the joystick returns. Oh, I see. You can still get there though. Okay, that's good. I was initially thinking I couldn't get there because at first it was kind of hard. It's pretty sensitive, so you can move the camera around inside, and probably with some practice, do a pretty accurate job. So if you don't use it all the time, that might make it challenging. This part slides in here. My suspicion with this type of boroscope is that they're pretty delicate, so you should be careful with it. Comes with a cap over the camera. You can see the LED lights in the end there. That is surprisingly small. These miniature cameras just blow me away. They remind me of something out of science fiction because they're so darn small. It even, I mean, that camera is super tiny with a super tiny lens. I wonder what your depth of field is. Probably not super high. So, power this guy up. That's a very good looking screen, and that is a very bright LED. Holy moly. Wow. Okay, so depth of field is amazingly good, because I wouldn't think you could focus on that close, but it clearly focuses to infinity and beyond, right? No, I'm kidding. All right, let's get something to look at appropriately here, but the display has really good viewing angle because it's an IPS display. That is a huge step up from most of these. The contrast is extremely good on this. You've got zoom controls on the handle here. There's the brightness for the light, because you definitely need that if you get too close to something, because I was blowing this out. So you can, oh wow, okay. That's just using existing light. So at some point, that's very good. So there's controls on the handle here, zoom in, zoom out, light, and then probably take a picture. And then you've got image rotate, because right now it's upside down, so I'm guessing this is image rotate. Let's see. Oh, yep, there you go. Flip 180. That's handy. This is power and play, probably slideshow, and set up your options. And obviously this joystick is not active on the screen. Is it a touch screen? It is not. Oh, here we go. That is a very clear display. Okay, well done. One of the nicest displays I've seen on any of these devices so far. And that's it. All right, let's see how the camera actually functions and if we can use it in an interesting situation. All right, here's the first thing I grabbed. I just saw something right off the top. And it looks like it's too bright, so I'm turning the brightness down. And that's off. So it'd be nice if there was even more graduations in the brightness, but I can sort of see, the camera that you're looking at through doesn't have as much contrast as I'm actually seeing on the screen. And then once I'm in there, I can indeed look around. So I will tell you the thumb control is pretty sensitive. And of course, the thing I'm looking at is just rolling around, so that's not helpful either. It'd be better if it was fixed, but you can look around, which is pretty handy. Let's find something else. If I was having problems with the ejection pin in my Morse Taper 4 tailstock, we could go in and look and see. And there's the ejection pin where it belongs. And if I wanted to see if there's any of this other debris in the way, I could see that yes, it looks like I need to clean stuff inside this taper because there's debris at the bottom. You can also see how smooth this taper is. That's pretty handy. I didn't know it was that dirty, so we need to clean the taper on my tailstock here. The fiber on this is extremely flexible, so it'll go around really tight corners, but it also makes it so that it wants to go, it'll just sit wherever it wants. It'll lie flat on the bottom very easily. Also, this thumb control is exceptionally sensitive. Very small changes make huge moves of the end. Next up, looking in this live center. It's a live 4-jaw tailstock check. You can see the threaded bits that bring the jaws in and out. And it's surprisingly clean without manufacturing debris. And there's an Allen that holds it in on the bottom. Let's take a trip inside a machinist-made block. They did a really nice job painting the insides of the holes red. It's actually a very pretty piece of metal. Can be a little hard to control, very sensitive inside a standard 1-2-3 block. Sure can tell that the drill holes are pretty crude. Inside a very expensive 246 block. This is a Starrett 246 block. And those drilled holes still look pretty rough. Next up, we're taking a look at the lead screw and the half nut for the X-axis on my mill. But unfortunately, this probe is a bit floppy, so it's a little hard to control in a big space. If it just fits, then not so bad, but you can see you can look left and right and up and down. So you can see the state of the ball screw and the half nut. Kind of cool. Next up, we have the lead screw of a grinding vise. And I just chose this one to show you that I could go up and behind the screw and look around by bending it. Still a little challenging, and this is definitely a tool that practice will improve the quality of what you see. Next up, we're going to take a trip into a large filter housing. And by the way, the hole that I'm going to go in here is just barely bigger than the probe itself, just barely. Playing with the different lighting options. Again, because of the lack of stiffness, it's hard to control the probe in this wide open space. I think this is maybe 8 to 10 inches in diameter. So it's just flopping around and I can't easily control. That's why it's swinging all over the place. But this does show that it fits in really small places. And this is the boroscope coming out through the very small hole past the 1/8 or 1/4 NPT fitting on top. I can't remember which it is. I think it's 1/8, but not certain. Next, let's just pop inside a motor housing and take a look around. There's the centrifugal switch that disconnects a capacitor. And then we go around and take a look at some of the windings. Again, the boroscope's probe is a bit floppy enough that it's kind of hard to get to go where you want it to go. Pretty challenging, but with a little effort you can get there, and the picture quality is really surprisingly good. Having the ability to go side to side and up and down helps make up for some of that lack of rigidity. Last but not least, we take a little trip inside my 1/2-inch 13 screw drawer. I could use this to find a screw that's preventing the drawer from coming out all the way. I tend to overfill my drawers. Don't read into that, please. Now I'm looking up to see if I can find the obstruction. Pretty cool. The case that this comes in is a well-designed case and reasonably well thought out. I like how this guy pops apart. There's a quick release button on the back. Just slide off the display, pop this guy in his place. Everything is protected. Nice molded case. Reasonably sturdy nylon, stiffened nylon outer. This thing will survive in the field for a reasonable amount of time, especially for what this guy costs. My overall take is this product has a lot of really nice features. The camera is outstanding. The display is outstanding. It is a very high contrast display. A lot of high contrast range display, not high contrast meaning it only displays 2 colors, but rather it has a lot of shades of gray in between. It's got a great angle of view. That's also a huge plus. It records videos, it records stills. The stills can be triggered by the button here. The video can be gone in and out of by pushing the OK button here. And the only gripes I have at all are how floppy the end is, as you can see there. So when you're feeding into something, it wants to bend on its own. This does not want, this joystick does not auto return to center. I think that would be a really handy feature so that you can easily lose track of which way you're bent, especially when you're in something, because this thing can rotate and what was up 1 second is now down the next. So it would be handy if you release the joystick and it would just go to center, but it doesn't. You have to manually try and get this guy to go to center or pull it through a hole small enough to force it to center. So that's a minus. It's very sensitive, the joystick, but with a little practice, I think you can get used to that. You can bend 90 by well, actually, it goes all the way back on itself. Oh, I didn't know that. That's a really handy feature. I couldn't tell when I was in something it could do that. So that's why this joystick has so much range, because it can actually do a full 180, which is pretty freaking amazing, actually. I'm worried I'm going to break the wires or whatever it is that runs down this. If there was a stiffer member down the middle, around the 4 wires, then I think that would give it a little bit more control. But for 120 bucks, this is a pretty amazing camera. I think Vevor did a really nice job on it. The screens and the menus are all easily understandable. The video quality speaks for itself. Bottom line, for 130 bucks in that range, I give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Hope you find it useful. Hope to see you next time.